Hello, I work in the innovation studio, and an area of personal interest to me is sustainability. I recently attended a climate farm school, which asked attendees to examine innovation with their food systems in the wake of climate change. Next slide. So food is at the root of our societal issues and opportunities. Healthy food is linked to healthy climate to healthy lives and societies, and onward to politics, investment, social justice, and the technology that underlies and relies on it all. Next slide. I'll admit in part to just wanting to attend Climate Farm School to dig in the dirt, but I actually came away realizing we could all benefit from the opportunity to spend a little more time thinking about our food systems as it relates to climate. I wish it was a bigger part of our core educational curriculum. Next slide. There's various farms that participate in Climate Farm School. The farm you visit and when you go really shapes kind of what you learn and how. These are some of the farms that you can choose from, and each one has like a really unique approach to what they do. There's a winery in Italy, a wild horse sanctuary. There's a farm in Washington where they're feeding kelp to cows to reduce methane emissions. There's a farm in New York that I actually used to volunteer at, where one of their preparations is to bury crystals in cow skulls by the light of the full moon. So really runs the gamut. I chose to attend the original host farm, Green Valley in Sebastopol, California. Next slide. So my first version of this talk dug into all the things you do at this school, but it was easily like 15 minutes. So I'll try to give some of the more unique highlights. Collecting soil samples to measure carbon sequestration, composting with worms, milking cows and feeding goats, and maybe petting the goats. Growing shiitake in the forest with a guy who has lived there for 10 years and hasn't owned a fridge in all that time. Learning about the Farm Bill. I didn't realize how vitally important this is in the US. This is a Farm Bill year, and it's kind of where most of the money for our food systems comes from. So learned a lot there. And learned what it takes to make a living in small scale agriculture, which is just a monumental task. And no matter how long you've been farming or how good you are at it, it's tough to make money. And discussing where technology might be able to support a more climate friendly food system, which was my focus. Next slide. So the instructors here are experts in their fields. They're ecologists, biologists, farmers, chefs, social justice workers, and that's their job. And educating us was just something that they made time for on top of all of that. I got to visit Singing Frogs Farm, which is featured in the book What Your Food Ate, for the incredible nutrient density of the food that they grow. Their soil is some of the healthiest in the world. I got to cook for head chef of Chez Panisse, which is a farm-to-table restaurant in the Bay Area, started by the slow food movement. Next slide. As far as who attends, my cohort included a food investor from Techstars, an urban farmer, a chef, a data scientist, a healthcare worker, mother and her 3-year-old son. So again, really ran the gamut. I think anybody could take away something from this program. Spending time in this sort of diverse community focused on a shared purpose is something I've been finding elusive in my own life, but I think is really critical. At the farm, you live together, you work together, you cook together, eat together, and learn from each other. You set goals and hold each other accountable. Next slide. So in addition to the farm time, there's an online course component that runs over the course of a month. I included a screenshot of the syllabus, and to the right there is kind of like the on-farm schedule, but I'll post a link in the Lightning Talks channel to some of our course materials, readings, in case anybody wants to check those out. Next slide. To me, the whole thing was an incredible model for immersive education in general. The course structure, the hands-on learning, the system of accountability, it's set up really well to help you not just learn, but to take action. And I think a lot of educational programs could take note. Prior to the farm stay, you're asked to imagine what our food system will look like in the year 2040. And the goal is for each of us to have a plausible but positive vision of what a near-term climate future might look like. As part of this assignment, I made a future of food visualizer. You fill out this questionnaire, it generates a custom illustrated story with the help of AI. And I learned very quickly that this doesn't always work out. This is actually a screenshot of one of our Firefox engineers' outputs, where it suggested that we run our factories with hamsters and melt the polar ice caps for water. So I guess maybe that's illustrates what happens if we decide to leave our plans for the climate up to solely up to AI. Next slide. The final assignment is to draft your own climate action plan. I started with a climate Venn diagram from Dr. Ariana Elizabeth Johnson of All We Can Save. This was a really good way for me to narrow my focus. It asks you to look at what you're good at, what work needs doing, and what brings you joy, and kind of find the intersection of those things. From there, I made a set of time-bound steps to get me where I want to go. And the instructors made themselves available both before and after the class to kind of vet the climate action plan, and more importantly, put me in touch with people here in my local area in Portland who could help me kind of achieve what I set out. Next slide. So obviously we won't all attend climate farm school, though I highly encourage it. But whether you want to just grow some vegetables, volunteer at a food bank, read an article on sustainability, we can all do something to further our knowledge of the food systems and the myriad things that are affected by, such a seemingly simple afterthought as eating. If you're up for a bit of homework, I'd love to encourage folks to take even just a few minutes sometime this week to think about what the future of food looks like for you, or even more fun, if you're around kids, ask them what they might imagine. Next slide. As a stretch goal, come up with your own climate action plan. If you do it, I'll personally make you your very own climate action plan completion certificate. You can post it in your LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever. I'm happy to share any of the resources from the course, brainstorm together, answer questions. And if you have any ideas on sustainability as it pertains to Mozilla in particular, I'd really love to hear from you. So don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mike. That was wonderful. And as a city gardener, I'm always interested